Share via email. Report story. Chapter 3. Uraraka is barely awake when her cell phone screeches out its ringtone, demanding attention. She reaches, fumbles, drops it, before tumbling out of her bed and onto the floor. She groans, swatting around on her nightstand before her fingers hit it, curl around it, and bring it to her face. She swings at the screen without even looking, bringing it up and snarls, "Katsuki, I swear if you're asking for a second. What did Kachan do?" And the voice on the other end of the line has so much venom and bite to it she flinches back, taking a look at the unknown number before bringing it back up. Who is this? She mutters. What did Kachan do? And it takes her a moment to put the voice and the face together to get her villain, Vigilante Rabbit. Nothing. She stutters. She swallows, composing herself before replying. How did you get this number? Her personal cell phone was known by her sidekicks and her friends only. It wasn't advertised or available or connected to anything concerning her agency, and she couldn't think of any way that Rabbit could have gotten it. Froppy. He replies. Told her I wanted to take you on a date Friday. She asked to supervise. Her mind definitely isn't awake enough to process any of those words conjoined together. What? Froppy gave me your number, said you needed time off. I told her I'd take you out on a date. And she let you. Uraraka's screeching into the phone. You're a villain. A murderer. A minus, she fumbles for more, stalling as her mind scrambles to pull up anything else on him. Only killed 3 people. 2 of them deserved it, one of them really deserved it. I have ruined quite a few agencies though. They deserved it as well, embezzling money, cover-ups, bribing officials. He hums on the other end of the line. I'm not quite a villain, Uravity. I'm just not a hero either. She closes her eyes and huffs. Let me kill Tease Froppy. And I'll get back to you on the date. She can hear the phone being shifted, and a muted, but still loud, yes. Before he's back on the line, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Don't ever call me again at. She trials off, blinking as she stares at her alarm clock. 4:30. Or I will float you into the sun. Can't be any hotter than you are. And the line goes dead as Uraraka's head slumps against the side of her bed. What did her partner just sign her up for? She signed her up for a dinner date with what she's going to thus refer to as a villainous vigilante, because anti-hero isn't quite right either. To his credit, Rabbit can definitely pick restaurants out, even if it's not her preferred place of choice, and if the fact he had the table waiting with a glass of red wine, and a glass of white on his side was any indication, then it might not be a total loss. She approached the table, surprised to find him rising, easing the chair out for her. You look wonderful, Miss Uravity. He informs primly, smiling as she takes a seat. I'm quite glad I called. You don't clean up half badly yourself, Rabbit. And she wishes that line was less genuine and more good manners, but it isn't. Not when the white button-up he wears is so filled out, arms flush against biceps, vest tight against a broad chest. He fills out the outfit well, and promoted stories. You'll also like Return of Mokuden discontinued 3.5K 45. This story is officially up for adoption. If anyone is interested, message me or comment on the story. Not all heroes wear capes. Some just have 8.42.8K 1.4 kilo. Everybody. This is a suicidal, depressed Deku book with Dadmic. Will their bond grow? Will Mike fuck up? Will Izuku try to kill himself? Find out yourself. Number 1 Radio. Free. Oni Shots 149K3K. This is a collections of free X readers. Requests on this are now closed. The Kings and Queen Yandere Wakfu X Reader 57.5K 1.8 Kyonder. Wakfu X Reader. Images do not belong to me unless stated. Wakfu does not belong to me, it belongs to Enigma. This is being rewritten in another book on my profile. Izuku's Harem Academia 188K 1.7 Cust. Read. Feelings. Izawa. X-Reader 57.2K 1.3 KRE posting. This until I edit it, sorry if it's not good, it's my first time writing a story. You enroll at UA and you have multiple quirks you are really good at using, why? The heroes return MHAXJJK, ongoing 115K 1.7K and quad, Izuku. Midoriya, after being betrayed and killed, vanishes leaving hurt people behind. After 2 months and a hack, he come back, changed. How will the class re? She huffs out the rest of the thought, pointedly picking up her glass. Thank you. He says, taking his own seat. You didn't comment on it before at the coffee shop. I was working. She replies sharply, but that's a lie. She'd noticed his physique then too, she'd just ignored it in favor of examining his expression. Where's Froppy? She inquires, glancing through the restaurant. Back booth, has a date of her own, I think. Might have just wanted an excuse to go out. He replies, gesturing behind him to a far table. Through the haze of the chandeliers and over the shining white tablecloths and through the flicking candlelight she can just barely spot her partner, leaning over her table talking to a man she can't quite identify. Uraraka huffs, rolling her eyes. Of course, there would be an ulterior motive. Not that she can truly blame Sue. It's been a while since either of them had any enjoyable time off. Either together for a good girl night, or separate on a decent date. Katsuki Bakugo had not been a decent date. Impressive to look at, handsome and easy on the eyes, but not an enjoyable date. She glanced over the table at her current date, humming to herself as she examined him. In his combat suit, he'd seemed light and slim, the green bodysuit and mask hiding away all his features. Now though, with his chest puffed out just a bit, his tie loosened just a hair and a satisfied smirk playing across his lips, he looked like all the confidence of Katsuki, and none of the violent fire. Speaking of which, so, you know Bakugo? She asks, broaching the topic. He frowns, eyebrows furrowing as he peers through the menu. I'm familiar with Ground Zero, and all his wonderful faults. He informs. We knew each other as kids. Not a good relationship. He told me to jump off a roof and try for a better quirk in the next life. And that bomb cuts off the rest of the conversation as Rabbit sets the menu down, picking up his glass of wine. What else would you like to know? She hesitates, frowning. Is this date about you or me? He flashes her another smile, the light of the chandeliers dancing in his eyes as he sets the glass back down, smoothing out the wrinkles on the tablecloth. You're the hero, I'm the villain. Your type usually likes asking the questions. She narrows her eyes, gauging his reaction as their waiter comes by. He addresses Rabbit by a Mr. Midoriya, and she files the name away in the back of her head to search for later. They order, and the waiter departs, and once again they are left alone with each other. Do you like the name Rabbit? He shrugs. It's not the worst, and I suppose my costume does play into it. The grin is my own kick though. Off of. Ah. He tsks his finger. Play fair now question for a question. He smiles at her again and she glowers. Why did you become a hero? Money. She answers easily. Her answer had already been recorded, asked and detailed by magazine after magazine. My parents aren't particularly well off, and I wanted a career where I could sustain them, and they didn't have to work so hard. He nods, as if he isn't surprised. She wonders if that's the answer he was looking for. She presses on regardless. Why did you become a villain? Because I was told I could never be a hero. And the venom that he says that line with matches the snarl of Kachan from this morning, and it makes her flinch. She soldiers through it, furthering that line of questioning. But you seemed to handle yourself during the raid just fine. I think you'd make a pretty good combat hero. He hums and shrugs, tugging at the sleeves of his shirt before showing her his hands. The palms are nicked with cuts and scars, some old looking, some newer and recently healed, the skin still silvery white. There is a price to pay for having to learn your trade without any talent behind it. He informs sagely, like the line didn't belong in a fortune cookie. She cocks an eyebrow at him, but he shoots a question at her. What did Kachan do? We had a date, he was not on his best behavior. I declined his invitation back to his apartment. If your thought was that he changed from UA to here, then I think you're mistaken. Rabbit's tone had shifted from casual to icy, the emerald gleam of his eyes suddenly poisonous. The look fades as soon as it occurs, and he sighs. Though I suppose he's getting better after recent events. There's another lull as he sips his wine, taking the time to swirl it in his mouth. She does the same, humming softly at the dry flavor of the red. She preferred white, but she didn't think that was necessary information for him to know. It was a good red, just not her favorite. How's business? He asks, and it seems they've drifted to small talk instead of personal questions. Good. We've been busy since the raid, mostly doing patrols while we dig on another case. We're planning a joint strike with Red Riot on another group here in Mustafu. The Rough Riders, yes. He inquires, tilting his glass back to examine the dregs of his white in the light of the chandelier. I would look elsewhere. They're small time, good publicity, but not going to make too much of a difference in the long run. I'll deal with them if you want me to. She considers it, eyeing him up and down. Why? Why wouldn't I help my favorite hero? She shakes her head. No, I mean, why would you help a hero? He smiles as their food arrives, and whatever conversation has to be dropped to avoid suspicion. The last thing she needs the media to find out is that she's on a dinner date with Rabbit. And the last thing she needs right now is to question whether or not he might be a good guy. They eat in silence, which makes her uncomfortable. There are lulls where conversation might have belonged, but each time she looks at him, there's red on his face and he looks away or into his drink. They finish, and dessert arrives. A cheesecake slice that looks positively sinful. What do you think of me? He asks softly, somewhere between her picking up a clean fork and him sliding his own dessert away. She hesitates, and instead picks at the dessert, watching the crust crumb under the prong of her fork. I think you're dangerous. She starts, and he snorts as if the idea was obvious. But I think you're somewhere between a villain and a vigilante. Not quite either. You balance on both sides of the law. And I want to know why. He hums at that, emerald eyes bouncing back and forth between her fork and her face. I wanted to be a hero when I was a kid. He confesses. But when you're like me, he trails off suddenly, voice fading before he finds it again. You have to look for other ways to influence the word when the obvious ones are closed off. You couldn't attend a hero school. He snorts and rolls his eyes. I could have passed their exams, but believe me when I say I would have never been let in. Why is that? She presses. He looks at her, long and hard before digging through his wallet. He produces two things: a wad of bills, which he sets on the table nonchalantly, and a business card, which he extends to her. Name and number. If you ever want to chat Ms. Huravati. She glances at it, noticing how the moniker, Rabbit, has been scratched out and replaced with Midoriya Izuku. He stands, and she finds herself rushing to her feet after him. Wait, she calls as he eases between tables to the exit. Rabbit, she hisses. Wait, she catches him at the door, and he hums as her hand clasps his, her quirk ready at her fingertips. Why wouldn't they accept you? He smiles, emerald eyes flashing with amusement as he leans down. It surprises her that his lips are soft, despite his scarred hands and the hint of another at the collar of his shirt. It surprises her that the kiss is chaste and not daring and wanting like she'd suspect for a man of his character. It surprises her that it's gentle and soft, tentative at best, a brush of lips and an exhale at worst. She's breathless, caught up in it as his lips pull away. Caught up in the muted heat of one of his hands holding her steady, gentle and restrained on the small of her back. Because I'm quirkless. And if she wasn't breathless already, she would have been. The doors slide open, a rush of cold night air billowing in, and she's too caught up in the fading heat on her lips, the soft warmth that his hand left on the small of her back, and the whirlwind of thoughts burning through her mind to give chase to the man. Chapter 4. Research hasn't been and likely never will be Uraraka's favorite or preferred line of hero work. It's a back and forth between files and the computer screen, peering through police reports and cluttered camera data, searching for snippets of information contained in hundreds of words and hours of film when all that is required is 3 seconds or a half dozen letters. Quirkless. So, 9 letters respectively. 2 syllables. Thousands of things missing. She had started with confirmed facts. Whereabouts detailed and catalogued over the past 3 years of his operations, and suspected operations going back as far as 7 years ago. When she had first gotten into UA, which meant, assuming he was her same age, then he was around 15 at the time of his first operation. 15. She leaned back in her office chair with a huff, rubbing her eyes and blinking them back to full openness as she glanced at her screen. A dozen windows were open, running facial recognition software through entrance exam videos from the past either years. Had been for hours now. That had been her first move. But, if he was quirkless, what were the chances he even applied for an entrance exam? Low. Almost non-existent. He probably had been denied outright if he even applied. She groaned, letting her eyes drift down to the clock in the bottom right. 1:17. 0117. An hour past midnight. She gets up, stretching as she meanders her way around her desk and out of her and Sue's shared office to the main room. Their shared agency had been a bit spur of the moment. Planned, but spur of the moment. With growing popularity, and income from work, they'd taken a leap of faith and gone in together on it. They did small work, teaming up with the other girls too, some that came here specifically looking for others, most often Pinky, given that she came by nearly every day. The building was quaint, shoehorned in between a shopping mall and an upscale Thai restaurant that had a boom in business from two specific customers ever since Uraraka and Suyu moved in next door. Wasn't their fault the pad Thai was so good. But now, even the Thai place was closed, and Sue, their sidekicks, and anyone else with any sense had taken off, leaving her combing over what little information she could get on the rabbit. Which again, is next to, if not, nothing. Uraraka groans, glad that she'd chosen to swap her hero boots for her pajama slippers early on in the day. She shuffles them along the tile floor, around the desks of her sidekicks, only 2 of which are occupied in the day, and none at night, to the coffee maker. She pours herself a cup, staring down into the black slug that she brewed especially for herself. Idly she wonders if it will kill her, drinking this much in one night. She had a cup when Sue left. Another an hour after that. Did she have one when her slicer left or no? She couldn't remember. She swallows, glancing from the cup to the mini fridge below. Dozens of creamers lay within, all tempting her, but none her favorite. She'd run out of her favorite days ago, but refused to replace it under the guise of cost savings. Definitely not because it was extra sugar and she was staring to notice an extra tightness to her suit. Definitely not that. No creamer then. She stalks back to her desk, setting her mug of fresh brain fuel next to her computer as she clicks through the videos. She shuts them off individually, giving up on identifying him from entrance exams. It's a lost cause and she knows it. She sits idly for a while, watching the steam wisp off her coffee and disappear. Their databases had nothing on Rabbit. Nothing at all that could help lead her to a solid identity. She groans, drumming her fingers on her desk. Well, she has one lead. With a huff and a monumental effort, she sits back up in her chair, fumbling through the drawers of her desk in search of the card he'd given her. Pencils and pens go wide, tossed aside because no one that does anything actually keeps business cards organized. That's what she tells herself anyway when it takes three empty drawers and half a fourth to find it hidden under a case file Sue must have dumped on her desk. Rabbit, Izuku Midoriya. He bothered to correct the name, give her a number that she could call if she needed anything. That was more than most. And even if it was an alias, she might still be able to pull something off of it. Eagerly, she types it into the search engine. She is decidedly not ready with after only a minute. It pings, pulling up a thin file. It's small, and she clicks it with some hesitation. A school file. Elementary. Middle school. Child medical records. It's all recorded so neatly in front of her, it gives her pause. There's no high school records linked. No college inclinations. The file was last updated 7 years ago, one final document capping off the life of one Izuku Midoriya neatly. A death certificate. She clicks it. It's brief. Almost nondescript in its recount of finding the boy alone, tucked in a back alley with injuries congruent with fall trauma. It's bare bones, if even a full skeleton, and there's nothing there that tells her a how, a why, or even if the fall was by choice, accident, or anything. The investigation had concluded it was not a homicide, and devoted resources elsewhere. She combs back through his medical records, searching for the one detail that would cinches it. And she finds it listed neat and tidy under the both. Quirk. N.A. If Rabbit is telling the truth, then his real name was Izuku Midoriya. The death certificate is likely fabricated. She can easily check back with the school and ask about previous incidents around that time. And it ties up one more loose end as well. How Rabbit knows Bakugo. They shared the same school, same childhood home, same neighborhood. She pulls out her cell, checking the card on her desk as she puts each number in. It rings twice, before a groggy voice answers it. Sunshine. His voice is sluggish and muffled, and she can nearly picture him rubbing the sleep from his eyes. I know I said call me, but it's a bit late, and I have to work early and. Izuku Midoriya. He goes quiet on the other end, and there's another groan and the sound of a bed creaking, the phone shifting from one ear to the other. Not like I didn't tell you that. Didn't jump off a roof, did you? Oh no, I did. She flinches, fear burning through her sleep deprived system like a fresh shot of espresso. She blinks, then jumps back to the computer, opening back up the file detailing it. But you fabricated the report. Yes, he informs, and she slumps back in her chair with another huff. Could we talk about this when I'm more awake? Agency has coffee. She snips back. Is that permission? He yawns back. Rabbit. I think I like my name coming off your lips a lot better. He murmurs, and she can hear him shuffling around. I guess I'll start early today. I'll be by in 30 minutes. She bites her bottom lip, closing her eyes to concentrate on her tone because she did not need to think about his first comment. Black, 2 sugars. She waits to make his cup, impatiently watching the clock tick over from 1:21 to 1:45 before she gets up from her desk. She's already finished her own cup, so she grabs Sue's mug, her own, and meanders into the main area again. She refills both mugs, adding sugar to his before walking back to her office. It occurs to her that the door is locked, has been for the last 6 hours, and that she should probably have the courtesy to unlock it. She sits back down in her chair, sliding it up to her desk. But what kind of villain would he be if he couldn't get past a simple locked door? The answer comes shortly, as the door opens anyway a few minutes later, and her reason for staying late, being utterly frazzled, and her recent bout of absolute insanity, walks in looking unfairly put together. She'd blame it on the jeans, dark washed and pulled over brown boots. But she knows it's the white Henley, the top button popped to show a hint of skin and a hair's breadth of a scar on his collar. He hums as he walks in, perusing the agency with a casual gaze but no doubt a critical eye. Then those emerald eyes fall on her, just as he walks into her office. And all of a sudden her office, shared with Sue, both desks tucked carefully inside to maximize space, is far too small. He walks in and she's suddenly aware of just how little space is between the door and her desk. She's even more aware of it as he steps up to it, one long graceful stride as he closes the distance, reaching across the desk. She's transfixed, hampered by sleep depravity, her own thoughts, and the blasted thoughts of how soft his lips had been. It has her flinching when his fingers curl around the cup of coffee she'd poured for him. It has her following the mug up, watching him take a small sip before setting it back down, her own eyes lingering on his lip as he licks it. Should I have put on more layers or fewer? His voice is a casual rumble and it both breaks her out of her trance and sends her spiraling into a tizzy. She jumps up from her chair, nearly toppling it over as she jumps up, steadying herself on the desk. I wasn't. She cuts herself off, huffing and peeling her gaze off that smug smirk. Izuku. She states, because his name is grounding, tasting the same on her tongue as a villain name. That's my name. He hums into his coffee, a soulful sigh leaving his lips as he walks around the desk. I see you found my school file. You gave me the lead on purpose. I did. He agreed easily, reaching across from her and taking the mouse, double-clicking the file. There's a lag that wasn't there the first time she clicked it and then an error, stating the file wasn't available. She watches the smug smirk trickle over Rabbit Midori Izuku's features. She settles on his first name. Izuku. Midoriya sounds too formal for everything. Too impersonal for the suave villain. Hope you made a copy. He hums, leaning back and taking another drink. She slaps his chest, growling and taking the half step that puts her into his space, nearly chest to chest. He gags, narrowly avoiding spilling coffee all over the both of them, but she refuses to back down. She's been tugged around by him, played one mission after the other, and enough is enough. What did you do? She hisses. He reaches out, long arms affording him the ability to keep his body still, eyes locked on hers as he sets the coffee down on her desk. You didn't think I'd leave that file out there without a little trap on it, did you? You deleted it. If it's accessed twice by the same computer IP, it automatically erases all digital data of Izuku Midoriya from the records. He hums. And before you ask, the physical copies are long gone. She growls, one hand curling around those buttons that teased at his collar only a moment before. Why are you doing this? He hums and smiles, leaning down so they're nose to nose. Well, I figured it only cordial to let the person you're courting know your name. It takes a moment. It takes a long moment. Long enough she can physically feel the blood rushing up to her cheeks, her snarl morph into a slackjawed look. Her fingers are already sliding free as he squeezes in just a hair closer, chest to cheek as he wraps one arm around her. She can't breathe. He's too close. Eyes too fierce, smirk too wild as his hand tightens on her hip. Her own hands fumble, palms flat against his chest, then shoulders as they slide up, unable to determine if she wants to grab them and push or pull. She fumbles with the idea, but every thought process grinds to a halt as he stops, lips not quite on hers. His eyes are peering into hers, and there's something in between them, something thick that pulls at her gut and makes her slowly suck her bottom lip in, biting the edge of it. Uraraka. He whispers. I'd like to know if I can kiss you. Seems rude to not ask after leaving you so flustered with the first. Rude. He's concerned about rude. The weight in her chest turns into heat as her hands finally function, sliding down and pushing him back. He stumbles, back one step, then two as she pushes him again. And again. Him. Rude. She huffs, cheeks bruning as she shoves the fumbling green-haired man back once more, to the wall. She takes the last step in, hands grasping his shirt collar, not enough to stretch the fabric, but enough for him to know he should stay. You. She huffs, putting voice to thought. You just. You. She catches the wry smile that graces his lips and it only makes her chest burn and ache more. You just bumbled into my life. Some international criminal I should be taking to jail, and I can't nail you with anything. He cocks one eyebrow at her, and she can see the quip on the edge of his tongue, so she plants one of her fingers over them, shushing him. No, my turn. She insists sharply. You ruin a racer's stakeout, mess up my whole morning, get me coffee, turn my simple drug raid into an absolute disaster, and then turn around, persuade my partner to get me to go out on a date. Not to mention my cell phone. Sue said I don't care what Sue says. Uraraka barks. You. This is you. I don't need you swinging by every couple days, or weeks, like some phantom tease. Make up your mind. Villain or vigilante. But no. You play both. Run a drug trade. Help the mafia. Take out a gang. Stop human trafficking. She groans, and the man she's pinned to the wall seems too confused to know what to reply with. She slaps his arm, stealing his gravity. He floats up to their ceiling, captive by her quirk. And then, her voice has risen to shouting, but it's so damn early it's impossible that anyone would be awake to hear her. You give me. Some fresh start hero your name. Not a code name or a call sign, your name. Real. Actual. She lets out another cry of frustration. Give me everything I need to track you down. Come here for coffee, and then she snaps her fingers, and he drops back to the ground on his knees. Take it away. He eases back up to his feet, eyebrows furrowed as he examines her. I'm so. And then she's pressed him back against the wall, claiming his lips because damn him. Damn him for being so He kisses her back, and this time, the ache in her chest eases as his fingers slide around her waist, pulling her gently into his chest. Vaguely she realizes her quirk is active. Vaguely she realizes their feet are not on the ground. But that vague thought is swallowed up by the feel of his lips, moving slowly and softly against hers. It's gentle, not demanding for more, but satisfied with what's there. And is it so much more different than anything else she's ever done. Different than her awkward dates with Iida at Ua. Different than her irritable outing with Bakugo. Different than her dreams of meeting the perfect guy who would just know everything she wanted. Izuku's teeth nibble on her lower lip, lips falling to track her jaw, and suddenly the tables have turned. It's no longer her that's in control, but him. He's pulled her closer, one hand on her back, the other tangled in her short hair, his lips slowly working their way up her jaw end. She gasps, soft and breathless as he nips at her earlobe. It's heated. It's soft. It's intimate. It's the lights to her office flick on, and with a yelp, she cancels her quirk. They narrowly miss both desks, instead landing in the spare chair, toppling it over and snapping the legs off of it all in one go. Izuku's hands have pulled tight around her, and she's crushed against his broad chest and the soft white shirt. For a moment, she ponders if she could get used to this. But that thought is ruined by a slow, morning rabbit ribbit, and a rush of blood to her face because she's never been so embarrassed in her life. Damn it, Sue. Thank you, Sue. Damn it, Sue. Where stories live. Discover now.